Alright guys, welcome to the Crazy Flyer 175 channel. Today we are hopping in an airplane that I've owned probably since about the time that I bought my computer a year and a half ago. About as long as I've owned X-Plane. But I haven't flown this airplane in a really long time, but decided to fly it today. This is the Challenger 300. We're going to go today from Eagle, Colorado out to Heber City, Utah. Should be a pretty fun flight, you know, between a couple of airports that are no strangers to business jets, particularly large business jets. Should be some fun. Let's hop on the airplane. We just got it powered up. Still got to do some pre-flight flows here. We're going to get everything kind of set up like normal. Get everything powered up here. Let's get that out of the way. We're going to be rock and rolling here pretty quick, so we're just going to go through and get everything set up right off the get-go.
Configuration.
We'll do all our
overspeed
warning system tests here. This takes a minute in
Bank
this airplane.
angle. Bank angle.
Hey Schnitzel, how's it going? Yep, the Challenger today. Decided to go Bombardier. How you doing today? Alright, looks like we're good on that test. Now the next test. Like I said, this airplane, it takes like a good probably 2 minutes to get through all these. Checking all the enunciators.
Normal brakes failed. Gear. Cabin altitude.
Doing well. Thanks for hopping in today. Alright, that one's done. Now we do the probes test, which I can't remember if this one actually does anything other than you just gotta make sure you don't get a fail enunciation or anything like that. This one will run through the stall test. Should. There he goes. Maybe?
Stall.
There he goes. So I'm still pretty new to this. Well, I mean, you know, I bought it a year ago, and then I really didn't touch it at all for a year. So I did a couple of familiarization flights today, gave myself my own little quick type rating. Hopefully I got it figured out. Got a few quirks to it.
Right engine fire. Left engine fire. APU fire.
Alright, and finally the last one, the TAWS test.
Too low flaps.
There we go.
Too low gear. Too low terrain.
Alright, there we go. Got all the warning tests done. It's always a long one in this airplane. We got the cabin lit up. I think our passengers will be arriving here pretty shortly. AP gens on. Alright, let's get our flight plan put in here. So we're going from Eagle to Heber City today. Should be a pretty easy flight plan for us. Eagle, Colorado, we'll definitely need to brief our departure. Both of these are mountainous terrain airports, so we gotta just make sure we're on top of the game. Thankfully the weather is absolutely beautiful, so I don't think we're gonna really be doing a lot of, you know, hard IFR today. It should mostly be out of the clouds for us. There we go, .com 175, and I don't know if I can pull the company route on the default FMS or not. Well, this one's not too hard anyway, so we're just going to go departure. We're doing the Beaver Departure. And actually, that's a good question. Do we have a windsock? Let's just listen to the ATIS here real quick for Eagle. Alright, let's see, 135.57. Oh, you know what, actually, we are in VATSIM. There's nobody here, so we probably won't have anything. And there's no weather information. Well, let's plan runway 25. If it doesn't look good, or if the wind's going the other way, we can always turn it around if we need to. Beaver 1, runway 25. Go for that. Let's put that in. So that puts in the departure. Then from there, we're going to go direct to the Zangi waypoint. ZANGY. And then direct destination. That should work nicely for us. We'll brief the departure here, and actually, let's go ahead and do that now while we're talking about it. So we don't have a controller, so we're just going to kind of self-clear as filed. We're cruising up today at 34,000 feet. We'll just set our altitude all the way up there for now. And 340 is set. Let's pull up our charts here at Eagle. Departure, Beaver 1, and Beaver 1, runway 25. Oh, I guess it has to come off runway 25 anyway, so 206 heading initially. Let's bug that. .206 heading is bugged out to Copper, Indez, Beaver. Let's we'll scroll through these here real quick. Indez, Beaver, and then Apres at or above 13,100 and below 225 knots. We do have that speed restriction we got to keep ourselves aware of. And actually, do we have a transition off that? I think we do. Oh, we sure do. We're going to the Spurt intersection. So actually I loaded into the FMS wrong. That's why we brief it. Yeah, we're going out there. Let's fix that real quick. So departure, Eagle, Beaver 1, runway 25, transition. There we go. There we go. Now we're going out to Spurt. I guess I say that, and then sing. That works. Speed restriction, do not exceed 210 until established direct Copper. That shouldn't be an issue. That's pretty short off the departure of the runway. Anyways, 15,000 is top altitude. Like I said, though, since we don't have ATC, we're just going to go all the way up to 340 for our top altitude today. And that's about it for the departure. Now, engine failure out of here. I think, let's look here and see if they got one on our release on the runway analysis. So this is one that you definitely want to brief ahead of time. You can't exactly go straight out here in Eagle for your runway. Oh, you know what? We don't have a runway analysis in our release. Alright, well, in absence of that, it is VFR, so we just have to be aware that directly out here we do have high terrain. In fact, I think there's high terrain down here as well. So really our best procedure if we lose the engine is we need to make a right-hand turn and follow up the valley to stay away from the terrain. That'll be good enough for us today. Like I said, it is VFR. If it were IFR, I'd actually probably go through and redo my release with the runway analysis. But we'll go with that for today. I think we'll be safe enough. Alright, we got that set, so let's see. We're going to get speed bugged. Now this airplane, whenever I put it into flight level change mode, and unfortunately it changes my speed bug, but we'll set 200 there just as a reminder for now. That'll be our initial altitude. And performance in this airplane, they don't have charts or anything for it. And as far as I can tell, you can't actually adjust speeds. So I'm pretty sure it just automatically fills your speeds. So we're going to go with these speeds for us for takeoff today. 116, 120, 127 for our speeds. We've got that set. And with that, I think we're good to go. Let's run through some checklists here. Do instruments. There we go. Have this little panel up, and then we'll pull up our MFD controller. So let's see, APU start. We've actually done most of these already as a flow. Choose checked, oxygen's good for the quantity. So let's see, we're planned at 4.7 today. And you know, we actually do not have enough. I thought I fueled us. Let me verify that on the release here. Is it 4.2 or 4.7? I think 4.7 is correct. Yeah, it's supposed to be up at 4.7, so we'll call the fuel truck back over. They got to add about 500 pounds. There we go. That'll work. 4.8, we'll go with that. Let's see, standby instrument actually is not turned on yet. There we go. we got that set, and don't have weather. Airport elevation here in Eagle. $65.44, so we'll just go off of that for setting the altimeter. There we go. 65.44, and that looks like that's set. Okay. Flight instruments are good, clock's good, nose wheel steering's off, frame air conditioning and bleeds are set. Pressurization panel is set. Landing elevation, we're just going to go off the FMS. That should autofill for us, or verify it when we get closer. Anti-ice probes are off. Reverse panel's good. Lights and emergency lights have been checked, they're armed. Yeah, that's about right. Grab 500 pounds for the A319. I always carry a siphon hose in the back of the business jet. Let's see, auxiliary hydraulic pump, hydraulic panel is good, gust lock is still on, actually it's off, but we'll leave it off because we're going to be underway here shortly. Engine run switches are off, trim, actually I didn't check the electric trim yet, let's do that, and this airplane likes to be at 7.0 for takeoff. There we go. Trim systems test is complete, ELT is armed. Cap control panel's good, altimeter set, 3039, FMS is set, avionics set. V-speeds posted, CAS messages, we're going to be clearing all those here in a minute actually. Kind of surprised it has you check that. I don't see anything abnormal though for current phase of flight. And Airshow Alliance Gallery are good. Alright, I think we're up to engine start. Let's go ahead and get the airplane closed up, and let's get out of here, guys. We'll close up the aft baggage door, and we'll have them close our main cabin door. Alright, cabin doors are closed. Let's get going. Weather clearance has been obtained. Let's see, I need my control. There we go. Let's see, beacon signs are on. Actually, turn the beacon on. We're about to fire the engine. Park brake. I think that accumulator pressure actually hasn't come up yet. You can try turning these on. I think that's going to come up as well when we start the engine. I don't know if I'm assuming these are engine-driven pumps. We'll deal with that in a minute. Chocks are removed, gust locks. Rest of it is idle. Engine run switches are start, and we're going to start the engines. That's checklist complete. Let's spin up engine number 1 first. Bring the run switch to on, and starting. Alright, and it looks like we've got a good start on that engine. Go ahead and spin up engine 2. Oh. Gotta put switch to run first. Noob to the airplane. And 2 rise and 1 rise. There's light off. Full pressure's rising. No hot start, no hunk start. And looks like a good start, both engines. Let's see, with both engines running, we're fully going. We got the generators, get the AP bleed off, engine bleeds on. Go ahead and bring our probe and window heats on. And we'll go ahead and kill the APU, we're done with that now. Everything else is set up as we want it. Let's get flaps 1. Already got trim 7, and after start checklist. Alright, after start checklist, yaw damper is on. wing anti-ice on, check for 2 minutes, then off. Got that going. Oops. How do you start this timer? I forgot to do that. There we go. Let's see. Windshield heats are on. Flaps set 1 for takeoff. Or what is it? It's 10 degrees for takeoff. Hydraulics checked. Actually, let's do that here real quick. There we go. Yep. Looks like the hydraulics are working off the engines, and then those messages cleared for the brakes. So we're good there. Flight controls need to do that. We'll put it on the right hand side here. Flight control check. Ailerons. Elevator. And rudder. Alright, trim set 7 degrees. Rudder and aileron neutral. PFD brief is complete. So we got the 206 heading, 340 FMS nav departure. Departure brief is complete. Terrain radar as required. Actually, can we turn that on? There we go, terrain. I don't know if it actually works. I guess we'll see if it actually pulled up terrain or not. I don't think I have that. I think there's a plugin I gotta get installed. I keep forgetting to do that. Passengers are briefed. Nose wheel steering can come on. Let's see. Actually, so I got another minute on that. Where's my nose wheel steering switch? Somewhere down here, isn't it? Oh no, it's up there by the gear. That makes sense. And CAS is checked. Are we all cleared? Yep, we're all cleared. Wing anti-ice is associated with the test. Park brake and emergency brake is on. Alright, that's after start checklist complete. I think it's going to be a pretty quick taxi. Let's do this. Or, well, actually we can. Fuel balance is good. We're nice and balanced. Thrust reverser check. We'll do this on the taxi out. Okay, guys. We are ready to taxi. Looks like we got 2 minutes on the wing anti-ice test. No CAS messages. We'll clear that. There we go. Chrono is reset. It's going to verify. I don't think we have any nearby ATC before we blast off out of here. Nope. Pretty quiet today. And I forgot to turn track IR on. That means I'm going to have to go through the flight without it, but we'll do it. Brakes off. Double check. Clear left. Clear right. Here we go. Here, pull up the -9 page here. It's kind of a tight little ramp back here for a jet ramp. And unfortunately, they don't have a center line either, so we just gonna take our time around this hangar. Hangar apparently doesn't have a roof. Tight little area. Okay. The MD-11 is about to be released. You interested in flying that? I might be. You know, I mean, I gotta be careful with my budget. I've spent a lot on airplanes lately. But, whoops, there we go. But, you know, I might be. I think before I get the MD-11, I want to get the Tullis 321. You know, just because I really like Tullis products, I like to get that. I want to get the Rotate MD-80, I think would be fun, and the FlyJ Sim, the Q400 that just came out, I think also looks really awesome. Let's see, coming out of here, we're going to make a right turn on Alpha and Alpha 1. Pretty quick taxi here for us. Clear left and clear right. Who's making the MD-11? Budget too low. Pull up. Pull up. Yep. That's about right. And I could afford it. I just shouldn't, you know. Trying to be wise in my spending. Contribute to retirement and all that good stuff. Oh, it's rotate. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't tried any of their products. You know, I've heard the MD-80 is really good, and so I'd love to give that a shot. But, yeah. I'm kind of cheaping out lately, though. I looked at my bank statement. I spent I spent about 120 bucks on X-Plane last month, just X-Plane. Plus I bought another new game. that I haven't streamed or anything. But yeah, the quirky fun airplane, I believe that. I think a lot of the MDs are, but especially the 80s. You know, it's like, yeah, the DC-9 was designed way back in the 60s, and yeah, there's still so much of that 1960s design in the MD-80s. And the MD-80s themselves are pretty old at this point, but... Alright guys, runway 25, I don't see any traffic out there. I guess, let's see, we never turn the transponder on, and are we on? Yeah, we're on 122.8. All the radios in this airplane are along the bottom screen. You tune them up with these knobs, or you can just use the hot. They've got touch points with the mouse here, which is nice too. Alright guys, let me do just a quick radio check. Alright, yep, got the green light on X-Pilot. Let's go flying. Get the airplane lit up. There we go. Oh yeah, let's run our checklist here real quick. Brakes have been checked, nose wheel steering, fuel balance is good. Didn't check my reverser. I guess you check the reversers on this airplane. Make sure they deploy. Yep, they deployed. Flaps set 1 for takeoff, and line up, cabin signs cycled and on, probes anti-ice is on, light strobe is on, transponder on, cast is checked, and we're clear. And lineup checklist is complete. Let's go fly. Ye old Mad Dog, yep. I like the old school airplanes, man. I mean, I'm not even that old, you know, I'm still in my 20s, but I remember, you know, as a kid, I did take like one ride on TWA back in the day, DC-9. I've ridden some MD-80s in the last few years, before COVID killed them all. I like the old school airplanes. Alright guys, runway 25, correct runway. Our min is at 4-1, we got 4-7 on board, and we're taking off. Eagle traffic, .com 175, taking off runway 25, Eagle. Alright, spooling up the engines. And Toga is set. .80 knots, cross-checked. V1, rotate. V2, positive rate, gear up. And heading. Actually, I lied, we're gonna go FMS nav. Oh, do I have, might help if I have that set to FMS. Good thing I caught that, and it's VFR, otherwise that could have been awkward. I'm blindly following that. Alright, flaps up. Thrust set to climb, and flight level change, we'll set 200. Now this airplane, there's only one quirk I figured out this morning. Apparently when I hit the autopilot doesn't adjust the pitch trim very much. Or at all, I'm not sure. I just know I had a couple of weird issues, so I'm gonna wait until I get the airplane accelerated up, you know, about 230 knots or so, before I kick that autopilot on, just so it's kinda in trim. I don't know if that was just like a little weird simism this morning, or if it really has that issue or not, but... Alright, there's a turn there. Follow the flight director. Nothing wrong with a little hand flying though once in a while. I do try to hand fly quite a bit, you know, when I'm actually in the real airplane too, because, yeah, you can kind of tell once in a while you'll fly with the pilot, you know, they kick the autopilot on at 400 feet, and they kick it off right at minimums every single flight, and then something comes up and they have to hand fly it. You know, I've seen a couple of captains I've flown with, and I'm like, you know, they don't quite have that skill set. I try to hand fly at least once per trip. all the way from the ground up to about 18,000 feet, and then I try to hand fly at least one approach and landing. You know, again, if conditions permit, I'll try to do at least one approach and landing from like 2,000 or 3,000 feet all the way down to the runway without any automation. It's just good to keep those flying skills up a little bit. Alright guys, I think that's looking good. We're going to accelerate. We're clear of all the restrictions now. Let the airplane speed up. We'll get the autopilot on, get it trimmed. Needs a lot of nose down trim once you get up to speed. You can see there that trim indicator is like almost the bottom of the scale. Alright, that should be good. Autopilot is on. The Amber AHS2. Wonder if I missed something. Anyways, after landing or after takeoff checklist, gear and flaps are up. Landing taxi lights can actually come off. Hydraulic pumps are auto. Oh, they go off. I don't know if I believe that or not. That's weird. Bleeds are on the engines already. Pressurization. Let's see. Do I have my status page? I do not. And we're already through standards. This airplane, it climbs so fast. And standard. Alright, let's see. Cabin altitude's climbing steady, good cabin rate, and we got differential. And you can see their landing altitude, so the FMS did set that at 5,600 for us. Alright, and back to my checklist. Pressurization's good, AP's off, CAS is checked. After takeoff, checklist complete. 180, altimeter is O2 is checked. Cabin signs as required, exterior lights are as required. Checklist complete. Alright, now we're good for the cruise. This isn't too long of a flight today. It's only going to be maybe about 45 minutes. Get a little flyby. Challenger. I think the Challenger is a pretty nice looking airplane, honestly. I've always been a fan, especially the 300. I think it looks like a real sweet little airplane. Really, it's not that little of an airplane either. It's actually, by BizJet standards, it's got a pretty wide cabin. The bigger, older brother to this airplane, the Challenger 650 or 600 series, is what became the CRJ. And I don't particularly love riding in the back of those. Looks a bit like the Citation. It kind of does, the like the Citation 10. It's got like that kind of deep, here I'm going to go outside for you, I'll turn the volume down for you guys. You know, it's got that kind of deep sweep to it, big engines in the back. Even the, you know, the windshield kind of looks somewhat like the new Citations. Alright guys, we're already almost up to 340. This thing really climbs quick. And I've kind of found it'll overshoot altitudes if you're not careful. So when I get within about 1,000 feet of flight level 340, we'll probably actually use the thrust levers back and help make sure it doesn't overshoot the altitude. Check out the passenger cabin a little bit. Honestly, this airplane's pretty old, but for as old as it is, it's actually still, you know, it's not the most amazing textures, especially when you compare them to like the modern Carenado or Aerobasque textures, but you know, it's not bad. It still kind of captures the essence and feel of the inside of the jet. Of course, the lavatory. I don't think anything actually works in the lab though. I was watching a video, I guess, of the the Q400, you can actually like go in the lav, and you know the sink works and the toilet works, and you can open all the overhead bins and stuff. That's kind of cool. I like seeing that kind of detail in these new airplanes. So let's see, going into Heber City. Now, unfortunately, I kind of realized, I'm going to double check here again. I couldn't get it to pull up the Heber City Airport, so it changed the identifier a few years ago. It's now KHCR. But when you look it up in Abby tab, it doesn't show up. If I look up the old identifier, I actually can pull up the airport, but it doesn't give me the weather, and it doesn't actually put the procedures in here. Now, I can pull them up on the iPad, and I think that'll be what we'll have to do today, unfortunately, for Abby tab. I can't remember. Did it come back? Yeah, it does. But we'll just do it on the iPad today. Kind of old school. There's 33 for 34. We're going to bring the thrust levers back, so that we reduce our rate of climb, and hopefully we won't overshoot our altitude. This airplane has a bit of a tendency to do that. I'll switch my stream monitor over to my phone here. And, oops, sorry guys. I'm going to pull up the charts on the iPad, and then I'll do the overlay for you guys while we brief it, just so you can see the chart. There's only one approach in Heber City. It's kind of like Castlegar when we went in there a couple weeks ago. It's totally surrounded by mountains, so it's, you know, you're descending into basically a bowl, and it's a circling only approach. And the final approach fix, I think it leaves you like over 2,000 feet above the ground. So, yeah, you definitely can't get too low. Alright, I'm just going to get this set up just to share my screen with you guys, and then we'll load the approach, and we'll set it up and brief it. Alright, airplane did pretty well on that one. It leveled us off. We're going to switch over to Mach, and I think we were filed at Mach 0.82. for today, which I'm curious to see. That's like right at the max. We'll go, we'll cruise 0.80 or less. I don't like riding the barber pole in these airplanes that don't have you know, that don't have like any overspeed protection. I don't think this one does. It might, but I don't want to test it. Alright guys, let me make sure this is working. I have the iPad pulled up. Go just make sure that's working for you guys. Yep, that is working. Alright, so here is our chart for Heber City that we're going to do the RNAV approach. Well, really it'll be a visual approach, but we'll back it up here with the RNAV. So 12-1, we actually need to get this loaded into the FMS to arrival. Do the RNAV Alpha, and we're going to pick it up directly from Zangy, which I think if I just load it in like that, it should set it up from Zangy for us. Yep, so there we go. Zangy, Uzu, Fugi, and Ivtaz, the missed approach waypoint, and then a missed approach back out to Cooley. That looks good. We'll activate that. So our approach, 12-1, 179 is the final approach course here for that last segment. Uzu's the final approach fix at 9,400 feet. MDA for us, we're going to be LNAV MDA, which, I mean, the MDA for any of the procedures is 8,020 feet, which would put us about 2,300 feet. Let's go ahead and set that up in the refs. So there's our landing speeds. Like I said, this airplane, if you actually try to adjust them...
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
There's that overspeed.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
I said I didn't want to overspeed it, and then I go and overspeed it. go about 70% in one. I wish that I had some cruise charts for this, and then I could just set the power setting. But anyways, so we got speeds in there. Like you guys can see though, you can like highlight them, but it won't actually let you change them. So we'll just leave it there. Minimums though, well, let me do, it's RA only, it looks like. So 2383, we call it 2400 feet, which honestly we're probably like over top of a mountain at that point. Oh, it won't even do 2400. Okay, well, we're just gonna turn the ref off then. There's really no point in having it up there for us. All right, and speeds. So 8020 is the bottom. We won't have any problem seeing it today. We're just doing it kind of for fun and for guidance. In case we do a published miss, climb left turn to 12,000 direct coulee and hold. Not to exceed 210 knots till completion. Circling runway 4 not authorized at night. Cold temperature altitude correction required below -17. We're not that cold up there today. Pilot controlled lighting on 122.8. Lighting we're preferred to the airport chart, so we're probably going to land runway 22. Let's see, we'll close that. Let's pull up the airport chart here. So we'll plan to land runway 22. It's not noted on here actually. Okay, it's down here. Yeah, it's got a PAPI to the left-hand side, and you'll notice it's a 4-degree descent, so it's a little bit steeper than the standard. And you'll see why when we get there. We'll take the first available left-hand turnoff. We're going to be parking at the OK3 ramp, which if you see where the beacon is, that star symbol, it's like right in there. Yeah, so that'll be pretty much it for our taxi in, and that is the approach briefed and set up. In reality, it's really going to be a visual approach today more than anything. We got good conditions down there. Oops. Accidentally just hit my toga button on the yoke. That's good to know that if you hit toga, this thing just goes into, or it kicks the autopilot off for you. It's all hand flown, which makes sense. You wouldn't want the airplane pitching up on you without auto throttles to bring the thrust up for you. There we go. Back into altitude and FMS 1. Try about 78% and see where that leaves us on the cruise speed. Now we don't have any ATC for us today. VNAV planning wise, we want to be over Zangi at 11,000 feet on our chart here. So 34 down to 11 is going to be 23,000 foot descent. Multiply 23 times 3. And that'll put us at 69 nautical miles. So probably, I like to add a couple extra nautical miles for buffer in there. We'll start our descent about 75 miles prior to Zangi, and that should leave us in pretty good shape. That'll be about 65 miles from now. 60 miles. What the wind's doing up here anyways? 47 knots, that's not too bad. Got to face 2 flights on my last trip with 150 to 160 knots headwind. So it's definitely becoming winter time. You start seeing winds like that. I would play the music that, so they have these buttons here, and pretty much all they do is they'll start playing music, but I don't want to risk a copyright strike, so I have no idea if that music's copyrighted or not. Probably not, but just in case. It's one thing about this jet though, is I do feel like the windows are pretty small when you compare them to a lot of other, larger biz jets. These are literally like the windows you'll get off of a CRJ. They're not very huge. Yeah, they kind of got the square look to them too. And you kind of notice that. Well, I know the older CRJs are kind of like that, and a lot of the older Boeings are too. But yeah, they're definitely kind of squarish windows. I mean, they got the rounded edges, but you know, when you see a lot more like oval or, you know, circular shapes on other jets, they do look a little bit weird. The animations on this older airplane aren't quite as good either. You can definitely notice that. It's not quite as smooth and crisp as the, you know, Arabesque products that are coming out nowadays. I'm really excited. One airplane I think I will get, probably as soon as it comes out, is Arabesque's Falcon jet, because they make some really good quality products. I like all of Arabesque's airplanes. Another one that I'm actually kind of excited for, being an Embra pilot, X-Craft is coming out with their new version of the 170, 175, the E-Jet series, and I'm kind of excited for that one because I've actually looked at the screenshots, and if the airplane's as good as they make it look in the screenshots, it looks like they actually have an accurate FMS, which is nice. Need to back the throttle off again. Let's get a 76% N1. See if that'll keep us from overspeeding. But yeah, the pictures they posted, the FMS looks a lot better, and like the overhead looks pretty good. So I'm excited if they actually do as good as those pictures look on that airplane. I think that might be the first E-Jet that I've ever actually tried that I've liked in any of the simulators that I've flown. Yeah, a good CRJ would be nice too. I guess, I mean, if I wanted to hop into Flight Sim 2020, I've heard the Aerosoft CRJ is pretty decent. But yeah, I haven't seen really any great ones for X-Plane. Let's see how close we're getting here. 100 nautical miles, so we got 25 to go. Yeah, a good CRJ would be nice. Honestly, when I'm in the sim, I really do like the regional flying, you know, doing the short flights. Because then you're kind of, you know, you're staying busier and higher workload and stuff. That makes it more fun for the sim. Alright, let's see. We are 97. I guess I just checked, didn't I? Turn the seatbelt sign off for a few minutes. Should also probably try to look up some weather for Heber City. I can't do it through Avi tab, but I can pull up Flight Plan Go here on the tablet on my iPad and see what the temperature, what the weather's doing in Heber. Ooh, their jet fuel is expensive out there. $7.56 a gallon. Yeehaw. Unfortunately, that's pretty typical of Heber City in my experience. They're expensive for their fuel and stuff. Alright, so here's some METAR. I'll pull it up for you guys real quick. Latest out of Heber. Winds calm, 10 miles visibility, clear skies. Temperature 8, dew point 0, and altimeter 3027. So, beautiful day down there. So Heber City is pretty close to Park City, Utah. Park City is like a really big ski resort town, and there's definitely a lot of wealthy people that like to go there on vacations. And Park City doesn't have an airport, so Heber City kind of serves as the airport for Park City. So it is pretty common at that airport to see some pretty good-sized business jets and quite a few jets too on the ramp at times. You know, I've had times where I roll by there and I'll see, you know, a good 20 or so business jets sitting out on the ramp, especially on holidays and stuff like that. Alright, 79 miles, so 4 miles we'll be at top of descent. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to set 11,000 feet on the altitude window. There we go, we got 11,000 feet set. And with our ground speed, what's our ground speed? 401, be about a 2,000 feet per minute rate of descent. Should put us in good shape. Alright, there's 75 nautical miles. We're going to go to VS and we'll set it down minus 2,000 feet per minute. Reduce our thrust lever so we don't overspeed. And there we go. Bring it back to maybe 60 or so on the N1. Should leave us in good shape. The FMS out of the way. I've noticed this, I've done this flight a couple of times before. There's like a weird error in the terrain or the elevation mapping here. There's like a giant spike coming out of the mountain peaks there. That's definitely not there in real life. Rock knob, yeah. So these mountains here are, their tops are around 10 to 13-ish thousand. So, you know, just kind of comparing that, that thing's spiking up to like 19,000. I don't think that's legit. But, you know, this is default X-plane scenery, so it's nothing really, nothing real special. I was kind of excited, you know, Schnitzel, as we were watching Dashy working on the airport last night. I kind of hope he releases that. It'd be fun to check out that airport in Wyoming. It looks like he's done a really good job with the scenery. I'd love to try it out and fly in there. Alright, here. We got everything brief. We'll go ahead and turn the seatbelt signs back on now that we're on our way down into Heber. So let's see, I'm just going to run through. I'm just trying to remind myself what all checklists we need to run. So we got the descent checks. We got the approach at 10,000. We'll probably actually do this before 10,000 because 10,000 feet is like a 5-mile final in Heber. Not quite that close, but it's not far out. We're on that one early. This is like the final before landing checks. Okay. just to kind of remind myself what my cues are for running those checklists. Fuel-wise, looking real good. 3.6 still actually perfectly balanced right now, so that's good. Let's see, we're going to transition our speed bug back over into knots. Try to descend about 300 knots. Lower diesel engine power here. Maybe 54%. See where that leaves us. Quite a few folks heading into Salt Lake City, it looks like. Or no, maybe just a couple. 2 there, at least I see. Probably not a lot of people on VATSIM go to Heber City. It's not a super well-known airport, but it's a fun one to go into. So, you know, in a small GA airplane, it's really not too difficult. I've been in there a lot of times, real world, in, you know, small single-engine piston airplanes. But when you get a turbine in there, that valley is actually pretty small for a turbine jet to get down there and do, you know, their normal 3-degree profile. That's why they only have the one approach, is really that's the only direction you can come from and do any kind of like a regular VFR procedure. When we'd go in there in the smaller airplane, typically you'd be kind of flying through the canyons to get in there. Or you, you know, if you're coming from over top of the mountains, like to the south, you'd kind of overfly the airport and just kind of circle down in the valley and then come back to the airport for the traffic pattern. Alright guys, coming down here over the Uinta Mountains. I need to get a Seasons mod in here because I'm sure all these are snow covered at this point in the year. Alright, so we're coming up there. What did I say the altimeter was? 3027. We're about 3,000 feet away from setting it. Yep, 3027. Once we hit about 20 or 19, we'll set that. Transition level's 180. These are also beautiful mountains to drive through as well. There's a couple of highways that kind of carve their way up through here. And can't really drive in the winter time. Once you get beyond about late September, October, maybe early November on a mild year, they don't maintain the highways. And, you know, as soon as they get snow covered, then they're pretty much impassable by a car. But in summertime, very beautiful drive to come up here through these mountains. So Heber City is kind of over here in this valley. So what we're going to do, as you guys saw with the approach, and in fact we can kind of, we'll zoom out here on the display here. So we're going to be coming up this way, and we're going to actually approach the valley from the north. So we're going to come up here and basically there's kind of a lower valley that leads down into Heber City that cuts down this way. So that's what we're going to be flying along on our way in. Alright, coming up on 183027 is the altimeter, and we'll run our descent checklist. And I think that's, oh yeah, 3027. Alright, and descent checklist. We'll just do it up here. Altimeters are set, fuel quantity and balance is checked, landing elevation 5,600 feet is confirmed, anti-ice is not required for us today, exterior lights are on, landing data is posted. We're going to be, actually, confirm it here. Let's see, 170, 123, and ref 117. We'll approach it about 123, and MFD brief is complete. Let's go ahead and do these now. APU and bleeds. We're actually going to leave APU off. We don't really need it. Cabin signs are on. And hydraulic pumps are on auto. And that checklist is complete. Alright guys, getting pretty close. We're going to go ahead. We're going to start slowing it up now. We're actually only about 10,000 feet above airport elevation. So we got the thrust levers all the way back to idle. We'll set our speed for about 250 for now. We actually might need a little speed brake. Help us slow down, or we can shallow the descent. We're down to 367. We can do 1,800 feet per minute for our 3-degree approach angle. We'll use a little bit of speed brake. We don't necessarily have to slow up yet, but I do find it's, you know, you don't want to get behind the airplane, especially up here in mountainous terrain. It's pulling up. I'll pull up the iPad here again for you guys, so you can see where the little magenta, I don't know if you guys can see it on the smaller screen. Oh, it's not pulling up. Hang on. Where did your server go? There we go. Just thinking about it. Alright, there we go. Now it should be pulling up for you guys. So yeah, as you can see, we're going to approach Zangi, and then basically from there we're just going to descend via the approach down into the valley. We're just about getting to Zangi. Alright, we got speed brakes about halfway out there. There's a few little clouds hanging out here. Nothing too bad. So after Zangi, it's a left turn, 179 heading to Uzu. And I'm going to set my heading bug, just as a reference, to 179. Oops. 179 is set. Let's keep the speed coming back. We're going to slow down about 200. Actually, let's bring it back to about 180. We're actually getting pretty close. We're on the approach now. And we can descend down to 9,400 feet for Uzu. And it looks like it's actually drawing a vertical path for us, so that should be nice. I think this airplane, we can just arm up the approach and it'll follow our vertical path for us. So we'll do that now. Hit the approach button. And yep, so we've got FMS1 and it's following the glide path now. So that makes life easy. Let's get those speed brakes out. We need to get the airplane configured for landing now. Now our flap speeds on this one are 210 for flaps 10, 210 for flaps 20, and then 175 for flaps 30, and then our gear speeds 250. HeberCityTraffic.com, 175, about 10 miles to the north. We'll be landing runway 22, Heber City. Alright, well below 210. We're going to go flaps 10. Alright, we're going to set MDA as a reminder, which is at 8,300 feet at Fugue intersection. 8,300 feet is set. Flaps flaps 20. Go ahead and bring the speed brakes in. This airplane, as long as this knob is set to auto, they'll deploy automatically on landing. Let's go gear down. We'll do our ding on the seatbelt sign. Remind the passengers we're about to land. Alright, speed's going to be 123 for the final approach. 123 set. Flaps are full. And landing checklist. Landing gear down through green. Nose landing light. Actually, those are not on. Turn those on. Flaps set 30 and CAS is checked. We're clear before landing checklist is complete. Alright. So at this point, we're on the path. We're going to go ahead and come off the autopilot. We're going to set missed approach altitude of 11,000 feet, just in case we need to do a published miss for any reason. 11,000 feet set, and we're hand flying. So the airport sits up here in the valley, kind of along this mountain over here. Can't quite see it yet. It's a little dark over there, but you'll see it here in a minute. And we'll go ahead and turn the flight director off. We're not really following it anymore. And we're going to let the airplane come down. This one's a little tricky, you know, because you're really descending down in this valley. You actually really have to work down to get down the glide path for the runway. And the PAPI lights, when we get on them, they're a 4-degree descent angle. So it's just a little bit of a steeper approach than you normally see for a jet. Usually we're descending 3 degrees. Heber City traffic.com 175 on a right base landing runway 22 Heber City. Letting the airplane down. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn my track IR on, so I do have to kind of just pan with the buttons today. So there you can see right up here is the runway, and the hangar is kind of off the left-hand side. It's kind of dark. It's all kind of hard to see it today. Usually this isn't too difficult to an airplane to, or an airport to spot. Put it down here, just make sure not to overshoot my final here. And start rolling it into final approach. Beaver City traffic.com 175 turning final runway 22 full stop Heber City. There we go. There it is. So we got 3 whites and 1 red on the PAPI. We'll let the airplane down. There it is. 2 whites, 2 reds. Actually feels like we got a little bit of crosswind from the right. A little crab angle in there. It's only 7 knots supposedly. It feels like a little bit more than that, but I will believe it. Alright guys, 1,000 feet. Airplane's configured. I got a stable approach. A little low, correcting. There's 500 feet and we're stabilized, landing. See if I can grease it on the runway. Hopefully. A little low, correcting it. That 4-degree approach is a little bit trickier than the normal 3 degrees. HeberCity.com 175 short final 22 Heber.
100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Get the crosswind correction in there. Oh, come on. There it is. Reverse. Not my greatest center line management, but not too bad. Welcome to Heber City, guys. That nose wheel on this airplane is, if you make a turn at all too fast, it likes to screech. Alright, clear right and clear left. We'll make a left here on Alpha and we'll taxi the ramp. HeberCityTraffic.com 175, clearing the active. Be taxied into OK3 Heber City. Yeah, I don't like not having my track IR. It's annoying having to pan with these buttons. Alright, flaps can come up. Let's see, looks like spoilers are retracted. Bring the strobes and landing lights off. Beacon light on, there we go. And let's see, we can go ahead and start spinning the APU. After landing checklist. Probe heats and windshield heats can come off. Anti-ice is off, flaps are up, light strobe set, transponder, we'll leave it TA alright till we arrive at the ramp. After landing checklist is complete. Pretty nice looking airplane. Like I said, I do like the look of the Challengers. Let's see, let's pull up the electrical page over there on the right. MFD, make sure, yep, the APU's got the electrical load. Alright, so usually they'll park the big jets. If you kind of see where the fuel truck is there, this section of the ramp just on the other side of it is usually where they like to park the big boys, right in front of the FBO. Alright, so we'll make the right hand turn down the next turn and then we'll point nose toward the brown hangar there. Actually, maybe we'll do a U-turn. We'll face one of these T's right here. We'll park on that far T over there, the white one. Alright guys, we made it. Let's get the door open. We'll let the rich people off the airplane and we'll go grab ourselves some lunch. Pretty fun one. Whoops, I still got the strobes on. There we go. But yeah, anyways, let's watch a little replay action on the outro. Thank you all so much for following along. Appreciate everybody following the channel and always the comments. Thanks, Schnitzel, for always providing me a good time. Let's see, we'll disconnect from VATSIM. There we go. Close that page and we'll take a look at the replay and we'll see y'all a little bit later. I might stream later tonight. If not, I'll probably be on tomorrow. But yeah, let's see how we did. It was a little bit of a firm landing, not too bad. I guess I gotta close the door. Usually on the replays it'll get that for you. Let's see how we did. It's also not a super huge, it's only a 75-foot wide runway too, so that's kind of fun with a little bit of a larger airplane. Put it down on a small runway. Not too bad though. That was actually pretty smooth. All things considered, the nose came down a little hard, but not too bad. Alright guys, well, thanks for following along. We'll see you next time. Have a fantastic day and take care.